Howdy, this is Chad. Thank you for joining today with Chad Schiffer's Family Genealogy. To subscribe to the channel, you can press the subscribe button in your YouTube to follow along with all the different interviews and information I'll put out there about family history. And if you select the bell icon, then you will be notified each time there is a new video posted. In today's video, we're going to talk about my uncle, my mother's second oldest sibling, Harry McKeand. Harry was born on December 27, 1936. His father was Gerald McKeand, who was born on August 11, 1906, and passed away on November 10, 1980. Harry's mother was Eleanor Oswald, and Eleanor was born on October 5th of 1910 and passed away on August 19th of 1968. And Harry is one of 8 children that Gerald and Eleanor had together. The oldest sibling is Gerald. Gerald went by the nickname Butch, and he was born on December 5th of 1932 and passed away on December 25th of 2002. Harry is the second oldest sibling, who will be about the interviews about today. Harry was born on December 27th of 1936. The third sibling there is going to be Harry's brother Kenny, who was born on September 5th, 1938, and passed away on January 15th, 1967. The fourth sibling was George. George was born on November 13th, 1939. The fifth sibling was my Uncle Johnny, and he was born on January 8th, 1941, and Johnny passed away on October 6th of 1970. The sixth sibling was my mother Judy, and she was born on February 14th, 1945. The seventh sibling was Sandy, and Sandy was born on July 18th of 1947. And the last sibling, the youngest, was my uncle Mike. His formal name was Dennis, but he went by Mike. And Mike was born on March 14th of 1950 and passed away on March 6th of 2023. Harry then met his wife Darlene Clausen while in high school. Darlene was born on September 9th of 1937 and passed away on March 14th of 2002. They were married on June 18th of 1955 at the Bethlehem Lutheran Church in Joliet, Illinois. Together, Harry and Dar had 4 children together. They had Dawn, who was born on January 10th, 1958, and she had married George Wink, is her husband. Together, they had 2 children, Ryan, who was born on July 23rd, 1981, and Riley, who was born on February 14th, 1984. Ryan has 2 children, and Riley has 2 children. Ryan's 2 children, which are, of course, Harry's great-grandchildren, is Nicholas and Jacinta, and Riley's children are Sterling and Scarlett. The next child that Harry and Dar had together was Brett, their son. And Brett's wife's name is Michelle. Brett was born on August 15th, 1959, and has 2 children, Lindsay, who was born on February 9th, 1992, and Brady, who was born on July 9th, 1993. Neither Lindsay or Brady at this time have any children. The third child that Harry and Dar had together was Jody. Jody was born on March 9th, 1961, and has her husband Randy. Together they have 3 children. Chase, who was born on October 11th, 1984. And Chase has 2 children. Trey and Jade are the 2 children there, which is Harry's great-grandchildren. And then you have Stephanie, who was born on October 14th, 1986, and Cole, who was born on March 23rd, 1989. And lastly, the last child there that Harry and Dar had was their son Bart. And Bart actually shared the same birthday as his brother Brett, which is on August 15th, and he was born in 1964. And then Bart has one child, Andrew, who was born on August 4th of 1989. Bart also had a stepson, Daniel Hayden, who Daniel was born on January 16th, 1981. Daniel has had 4 children. Layden is the oldest, followed by Marissa, Rosalind, and Dylan. So those are all Harry's step-great-grandchildren. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. We're going to go ahead and talk to Harry so you can learn a little bit more about his life. What's your full name?
Harry Lawrence McKeand.
And what is your birthday?
12, be December 27th, 1936.
And do you have any nicknames?
Well, I've been called stupid, but other than that, no. No, my dad used to call me Yaki Doc, because I always talked about it.
Okay.
That was my, maybe Judy and Sandy remember that. Yaki Doc.
Okay. And when you were a child, what did you want to be, and where did you grow up?
Do you remember Captain Marvel magazines and comic books? Captain Marvel.
Okay. Okay.
And when I grew up, yeah.
And where did you grow up at?
I was born in Joliet, St. Joe's, but I lived in Plainfield, and it was called Electric Park in Plainfield. It was a cabin.
Okay.
My parents lived there.
Okay. And what schools did you go to?
I went to Plainfield Grade School, and then when we moved to Joliet, I went to Washington Junior High, graduated from there, and then I went to Joliet Township High School.
Okay.
Joliet. That's when I met my love of my life.
Okay. In high school?
Yep.
Okay. And what year did you graduate high school?
Well, I didn't quite graduate. I left there in my junior year.
Okay.
And got a job at Joliet Motor Sales, driving cars up the ramps, parking them, and driving the cars to the mechanics that were working on the car.
Okay.
I was a car jockey.
Okay. Okay. And what was your favorite subject when you were in school?
I liked math. I really did. And they used to call it back then earth science. I like that.
Okay.
Real good at that. It was like geography, but it's called earth science.
Okay. And is there a teacher that you remember that was influential to you?
Yeah, and you know what? When I came to Washington Junior High, I think I started. When we moved back to Joliet, I think I was 5 or 6 years old. The teacher that taught my dad. Her name is Mrs. Green. She was good.
Okay.
She helped me a lot.
Okay. And how would you describe yourself as a student?
I'm average, I guess. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did you like most about school?
Oh, probably when it was time to go outside and play ball. Okay. Gym. You know, when you're that age, you know.
Yeah. And what would you say you like least about school?
Getting up in the morning to go. We had to walk to school. Ice and snow, believe it or not.
Yeah. And what was your favorite music or band when you were in high school?
What you call K-Star was a good singer. Wheel of Fortune, she sang. And Hank Williams Jr. and Les Paul and Mary Ford.
Okay. What type of jobs did you have when you were in school?
I didn't. When I left school, I went over to Joliet Motor Sales. My dad was a truck driver, And he used to deliver new cars and trucks to the Joliet from Ford Motor Plant in Hegwich.
Okay.
And he got me the job. They were looking for somebody.
Okay. And did you have any pets when you were a child?
Yeah. I had a dog when we lived in Plainfield. He was a collie.
You remember the name?
Jeez. I think we named him Shep, Old Shep.
Okay.
And I had chicken.
Okay.
And the chicken would follow me to school.
Yeah.
And then when I come out of school, he'd be there waiting for me to walk back with me.
Okay.
Because when you used to buy shoes at Tom McKeand, they used to give you chickens.
Okay.
And I kept them.
Okay. And did you play any sports?
Yeah, I played baseball, and I went out for football in high school.
Okay.
Played one game.
Yeah, football?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was over in, I think it was Aurora. That was in our division. And the reason the coach put me in is, God, we were beating them guys so bad that he figured, hey, you know, we ain't gonna lose. So he put me in. And Jim Kuzma, he was a friend of mine in high school.
Okay.
And they put us in.
Okay. And what's your earliest childhood memory?
Oh, my earliest one was when my younger brothers, Kenny and George, were born. My mom and dad, during the war, I used to feed them.
Okay.
I took care of them.
Okay.
But my mother's mother used to babysit us during the war. I remember that.
Okay.
But I took care of them. I used to eat the bottles and feed them milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you remember about the war when that was going on?
Oh, geez. I was 6 years old, and when it ended, I was 8 or 9, yeah. And I remember when we lived in Plainfield, US 30, the troops would be convoys going on US 30 going to the West Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, they always let the people know when they were coming, because, man, it was a long convoy.
Yeah.
I was there long.
Yeah. Do you remember like details of World War II? What was going on?
Oh, yeah, you know, I remember I used to draw a picture. I was pretty good draw. George was good. And I used to draw airplanes. B-17 bombers, pretty good. And you listen to it on the radio a lot, what was going on there.
Okay.
That wasn't giving away any secrets, but, you know, they were saying, especially D-Day, you know. And I do remember Roosevelt talking on the radio, and we're all sitting around it.
Okay.
He did the talks.
And so you were sitting around the radio with
Yeah,
family?
yeah, and then on the radio, listen to Sky King, send away for his ring.
Okay, okay. And
Imagination. You always had imagination listening to the radio.
yeah. And did you remember when we dropped the bombs on Japan?
Yeah.
And what were you?
Well,
where were you at when that happened?
I wasn't living in Plainfield then. My dad worked at Joliet Arsenal, because he tried to get in the Army, but all the kids he had, they said no, but they gave him a job at the Arsenal. Okay. And he was also the air raid warden for Plainfield on his block. He had to make sure all the lights were out. When the siren went out, the town was complete black, you know. Yeah.
Who would you say was the most influential person to you as a child?
Well, my dad was real good with me, and so was my mom, you know, both of them.
Okay. And how would you say that they were able to influence you?
Well, they always had food on the table for us. And I do remember as a child, Christmas tree one time, you know, when you looked at that movie Christmas Story, the guy putting all the plugs in, that was really true. Put all the plugs in the one outlet.
Right. Right.
And I remember the tree almost caught on fire.
Okay.
And then one year it did fall over while we were all sitting at the table.
Okay.
It fell over. And yeah, I remember that. And of course, I got cheated out of a lot of stuff because my birthday was right after Christmas.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I really didn't get much for my birthday. But yeah, my parents, they cared for us.
Okay. And when you were a kid, what would you do during the summers?
Oh, when I lived in Plainfield, grade school, I used to go out to Lake Renwick out there. There was a pit out there that was away from the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to go swimming there. No lifeguards. It was a pit.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my friends would go there, you know.
Okay. Okay. And what would you say you were most afraid of when you were a child?
Oh, when I was a Cub Scout, they wanted out in Plainfield there. They gave you airplane rides. I wouldn't go on it.
Okay.
I still haven't been on an airplane.
Okay. Never flew?
Never flew.
Okay.
I don't have wings.
Yeah.
No, I got a fear of that.
Okay. And who was your best friend when you were growing up?
Oh, his name when I was in grade school in Joliet. His name was Herbie Ashton.
Okay.
And I think he's alive yet.
Okay. Okay. And when was the last time you were in touch with him?
Probably after I first got married. I didn't see those guys. You know.
Okay. And did you have an idol or a hero when you were growing up?
No, not really. Not really. Superman was pretty good.
Talk a little bit about your family dynamics. Tell me about your parents, their names and their birthdays, if you remember them.
I'd have to look at the tombstones for the birthdays, but my dad's name was Harry McKeand, and my mother's name was Eleanor Osborne.
What are some of your memories you have most of each of your parents?
Well, I remember my mom. She had beautiful handwriting, and when she was in high school, she took up French. She was really good. She was so good, the teacher who was sick, they had my mother teach the class.
Okay.
Yeah, she could talk French fluently. She was good at that.
Okay.
And my dad, yeah, he always found time to play with all of us. You know, he'd get us all out there for baseball and football. He was a big fan of football. He took us back them days. The college team, All-American team, played a professional football team that won the what do you call it? Back then it wasn't Super Bowl series. The winner of the conference most of the time was the Bears. Seven world championships. My dad used to go to the Bear game, and they played it at Wrigley Field with the big posts. That's what we had to turn our heads to see that. Yeah, the Bears and Cardinals both played there at Wrigley Field.
Okay.
And my dad would get tickets for that.
Okay. And would he take you to the games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Him and George Landis, the guy he worked with, that's when he started trucking. And he took us to the Cubs when they won the World. You know, they played in the World Series. They got beat. He had tickets for that, way up high, but hey, we seen it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, one game we seen, in which the Cubs lost, but anyway, it was good. My dad was a White Sox fan.
Right. Okay. Do you like the Cubs?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember your father's parents, your grandparents?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember my dad's dad. He worked at.
What was his name?
That's it, John. And he worked at the horseshoe company in Joliet. They made horseshoes for horses. And he retired from there. And he died at home. I remember him. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember my grandmother.
So what was her name?
Yeah, May, and my dad's sister Mary, and the other one was Sarah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me what you remember about both your grandparents.
Well, I used to go over there and cut their grass. When I was like 12 years old, I started going over there and maintaining them. They lived off of Washington Street, about half block down.
Okay.
They had a nice French yard and bushes. I used to trim the bushes.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in high school then when I started doing that. My mom's mother used to watch us during the war.
Okay. That was Harriet?
Harriet, yeah. That's who I was named after.
Okay.
And Harry is short for Harriet, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
But they did name me after her.
Okay. Your grandmother, May, Do you remember her passing away?
Yeah,
Okay.
she was a diabetic. I remember going over there, like I say, when I cut grass, she'd sit down and feed me. And married, she was the old maid. She never did get married, and she always used to inject her with the insulin.
Okay.
I seen them doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
She was nice grandmother.
Okay.
She was tiny and kind of hard to believe she had diabetes because she wasn't heavy or nothing, but you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your mom's parents, Donald and Harriet. What can you tell me that you remember about Donald?
Not much about him. I really don't remember.
Oh, you were only 2 when he died.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything you remember hearing about him, or?
From what I understood, he was a boxer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he kind of disappeared for a while, and then they found a body, and they thought it was him, and maybe it wasn't, but they buried it as him.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I understood, you know, when I got older.
And then Harriet, you said you knew her a lot.
Oh, yeah, because
more,
she babysat,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was mean.
She was mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when she said sit down, you sat down. If you didn't, she'd whack you in the back.
Okay. And what else do you remember about her?
She cooked good. Fed us nice during the war.
Okay.
We ate good.
Okay. And so now you've got brothers and sisters, starting with the oldest, Butch.
Yeah, Gerald. Yeah.
Gerald, yep.
They called him Butch. That was his nickname.
Okay. And tell me about your relationship with him.
Oh, we were real close.
Okay.
Real close.
And you lived out
He
there?
stood up in my wedding.
Okay.
He was the best man.
Okay. And you, did you move out to Arizona after him, or he moved out first?
He was out there first. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he lived down the street here.
Yeah. About 4 doors down or so.
He had Joyce and Lori.
Mm-hmm.
And they moved out there, and then the other 2. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what can you tell me about him as far as like his personality and?
Well, Butch went. I remember when he got drafted in the Korean War, and he was in Fort Leonard Wood for training. He had a Pontiac hardtop. That's the one I used for my wedding. He let me use it.
Okay.
And I let him use my car while me and Dar went on our honeymoon. But anyway, he got drafted to Korea, and then when he got shipped out, just as they landed on the beach out there, they signed the peace treaty.
Okay.
And then he was detailed. He was in the 2nd Armored Division. I remember that. His insignia on his uniform. And him and his whole company there, that's what they were doing, picking up the dead bodies and putting them in body bags. And man, I don't know how he did it.
Did he see combat that you're aware of, or?
You know what? There was some stuff going on over there, but he never got into it.
Okay.
My brother-in-law Marv did. He was on Pork Chop Hill and
Okay.
at whatever hill 42, up and down, up and down.
Okay. And then you were the second one born.
Yeah.
And then the third one born was
Kenny.
So what can you tell me about Kenny?
Kenny was real close with me, and when he graduated from high school, the guys that were out there right away talking to the kids to join, and he joined the Air Force. And he after he got this training done, came back, and that's when we had our Dawn, and he was the godchild to Dawn, and then he was going to Germany. We had a picnic out in Mokina there, on the other side of the New Lennox, and there was Judy, Joyce, my brother's 2 kids, and Dawn, and Brett was a little baby. He was walking. Dar, my brother George. George was still living at home yet. But anyway, Kenny went to Germany, and my dad drove him to New York to get on the boat to go over. And then Judy, who was his wife, after he got to Germany there, she went over because she was married to him. That's when their first kid was born in Germany. Yeah.
Okay. It was Janet.
Janet, yeah.
Okay. Janet was born in Germany?
He was born in Germany.
Okay.
Yeah. And then when Kenny came back, he stayed in the reserves, and then when they had that earthquake in Alaska, he was Kenny's job in the Air Force was a cargo master on the C-47s.
Okay.
And he always said, Harry, the dangerous part was taking off and landing. Once they got in the air, it was a good plane.
Yeah. Okay.
Felt safe.
Okay.
But he borrowed I had a movie camera then, Chad.
Uh-huh.
And he took it with him, and he took a picture of all the Alaska, all the earthquake that was in,
okay.
I think it was Jerome or Nome, something like that.
That was the one in Seward, Alaska?
Yeah, it was a big one, boy. It was just,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the Air Force went up there to help.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the fourth one was George.
George.
Okay.
Troublemaker George.
Then what can you tell me about George?
Well, stayed out of jail, but he was bound for that. Because he hung around with some bad guys.
Okay.
And I guess my dad said, hey, you know, you're going to be in trouble, just sign to put him in the Army. He went in the Army.
Okay.
He come home on leave, and he wasn't supposed to be on leave.
Okay.
My dad drove him back. Yeah, I guess he got KP for a while, but he made it through the Army. He come out pretty decent. Then he met Ruth, and she straightened him out.
Okay. Okay.
Because he was, well, the Army did a lot for him too. It did.
Okay. And do you remember where he met Ruth at?
I know they lived in Cross Hill. I think her family lived around there.
Okay. The fifth child was Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was born crippled. He died crippled and never could walk.
Yeah.
But he was missed by all of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was 29 when he died.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what can you tell me about his personality?
Well, he was good. You know, when he was young, it was hard for him because nobody could teach him anything but my parents. You know. He learned some bad words because he used to hear my mom and dad argue. And he picked up some good words. Yeah, as he got older, he was good. He could talk and feed himself. He had to be helped into the bathtub and toilet all the time, you know.
Okay.
And I remember the kids he used to sit in his wheelchair and bounce when the kids come over on the bed. I got all that on film.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
Okay. And do you remember how he passed away?
I think he caught pneumonia.
Okay.
Yeah, because he was actually bedridden, you know. Yeah.
And then child number 6 was my mom, Judy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know I obviously probably know a lot about her, but what would you like to say about her?
Yeah, Judy, I do remember when she was little, but you know, I don't. Like I said, I left the house early. Judy was doing her thing, and same thing with Sandy, you know. I wasn't home then.
Okay. Okay. And so you were closer to them more as they became adults?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, when they got this house, I did a lot of work on it for them, drywall and stuff, sidewalks.
Okay.
Because I actually was gonna probably be the second household in there. I had put money down on the lot. We lived in Crest Hill, me and Dar, and we kind of outgrew that house. But then, you know, Britt come along, and we met this guy out in New Lenox that had a street called Michael Lane. He owned all the farmland there. He was building houses. He had subdivided. We moved out to it.
Okay. And then your youngest sibling was Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Okay. And what can you tell me about him that you remember?
Well, the most I remember about Mike was coming over to get me to break Kenny and George up and fighting. Yeah. I got along with Mike good, and then when he got into high school, I worked at Railway Express during the night, and then I got a job at Gaylord's, which George was working there when he come out of the Army. He got me in there. Then George went to Caterpillar, And Mike was in high school, and I became the manager of the department accidentally.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I'd take the job. I said, yeah, but I work at Railway Express. That's my main job. I said, but I can be here every day. And I said, but on Saturdays, I ain't going to be here. You know, I got to have a day off. And they said, well, you don't have to. What skills are other guys covered, you know. And I hired Mike. He was in high school. And I said, Mike, come to work. Get in here.
Okay.
And you know what? I can't remember what the pay was. It was cheap back then.
Yeah.
Probably $3.50 an hour, you know, minimum wage.
Okay.
But yeah, Mike worked. He did good.
Okay. And so those are your brothers and sisters. So then we'll move along and talk about your kids. So your oldest is Dawn. So what can you tell me about her when she was, you know, growing up to now?
Well, where's George?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that part in a minute.
Dawn, she was a good kid. Yeah, she's got a granddaughter now. But Dawn was always bouncing, and she had a little rocking horse that we bought on the Springs, and she was always on that, and always had knee scrapes, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, Dawn was a good kid.
Okay. And then your second child was Brett.
Yep.
Okay. And what can you tell me about Brett growing up to now?
Brett was a good student in school, and I remember when he was in high school, he was in gymnastics. And I guess when he went to state, I think he came in second on the pommel horse.
Okay.
And he knew a guy that had a pommel horse, and I bought it and put it in the backyard, and he practiced on it.
I vaguely remember that.
He was good.
Yeah. Okay.
Then when he graduated from high school, we sold the pommel horse to another kid that was going to try to learn on it, you know, practice.
Okay. And then did he graduate high school in Arizona or Illinois?
Oh, Illinois.
Illinois. Okay.
And then he went to St. Francis and graduated from there.
Okay.
Then he come out to Arizona.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
And he got a reporter job on Sun City Independent, and he just worked his way up to the publisher.
Okay.
Then he ended up being the whole Mesa, Tempe, a lot of newspapers there. He was the head guy on it.
Okay.
But he did good in journalism.
Okay.
And he's retired now from there.
And he's married to Michelle?
Michelle, the IRS girl.
Okay. All right.
She's got records on all of you.
And then after...
I'm just kidding.
After that, your third child is Jody.
Yep.
And what can you tell me about Jody?
Jody was she was a good girl. She was working there. She graduated from high school. She got her first car, and I taught her how to drive stick. She went to work in the bank in New Lenox, and then when she looked at the bank, I think she met Randy, and she married him.
Okay.
They come out to Arizona to ask me if it was all right, and I said, well, yeah, you know, you ain't gonna live with us, are you, Jody? She said, no, Dad. And anyway, they went to Vegas and got married, you know. And that was nice. We went down to Mexico and bought her wedding dress down in Mexico when they came out that time. And, yeah, Randy's a good guy. I like him.
Okay.
He's a good worker.
Yeah. And then
I always really
your youngest is Bart.
Bart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about him?
Well, Bart, we took him out to Arizona out of the high school here in Lincoln Way. He was a good student, but he was just like all these hanging around with the wrong people, and he just didn't put himself to school. I mean, he was a smart kid. I mean, his grades were good, but he was mad because we moved to Arizona and I took him out sophomore year in junior year, Bart. And when we went to Arizona, on the way out there, he said, I'll never forgive you for this, Dad. And I said, well, That's all right. You get out there and finish school, then you can go where you want. Well, he spent, I think, 3 months in school out there, and then school called me up and they said, "Is your son sick?" And I said, "Go. Why?" He said, "He hasn't been here since you registered him. He didn't like the high school he was going to." And I said, you know, when he come home, I told him, I said, "You know, school called, Bart." I said, where you been?" And he said, "Oh, just walking around." I said, "God." So I brought him back, and the only place that would take him was down in George, you know. And he finished high school.
Okay.
And then I did come back and get him. But after that, when we got to Arizona, he got a job on a nursery, and he met this kid that his name was Pope. That's his name, Pope. P-O-P-E.
Okay.
And they became good friends, and they worked in this nursery. And I said, "I go to work every day, and work late." Then I find out him and this Pope are on this nursery way in the back. They're growing marijuana. I mean, he never got caught, but I said, "Bart, don't do that." Then he brought the plants home, and we were in an apartment on Zabelka, and my brother Butch, who lived in Prescott, he was a deputy sheriff. He used to bring convicts down to Phoenix to be put in jail, you know, prison, transferred. And Butch come to my house one day, him and his wife, Shirley, and I told Butch, I said, "Plants on my balcony up there." Butch went up, he said, "Harry, that's marijuana." You better tell Bart to take that down. Yeah, Bart met a girl, and then he married her. Her name was Lisa. She had a son named Danny, and then she got pregnant with Andy, which is Bart's real son.
And she passed away about.
She moved to California, and yeah, she passed away of cancer. That was back in 2019 when I came back for the Indy 500. Andy was graduating from college up in Flagstaff, and I said, "Hey, that'll work out good. I'll go for the graduation, stay at the hotel that night, and then head for Indy," which I did. And she was there, and she didn't look too bad. She talked to me, and I talked to her. But she had cancer, and it was getting all over her. It was malignant.
Okay.
And
next, we'll go ahead and talk about your spouse, Dar.
Yeah.
And what was her full name, with maiden name?
Oh, her maiden name was Darlene Rae, R-A-E, Clausen.
Okay. Just
like the pickle company, and that's what I thought she was, a hero to it. That's why I dated her. No, I always threw that in her face. A friend of mine that I used to play football with, you know, in high school, Jim Kuzma, he introduced me to her. Because he dated Dar's best girlfriend, Dorothy Swanson. And, he said, "Well, I'm making a foursome." I said, "Yeah." I met her. Got kind of a crush on her.
Okay.
Yeah, and she graduated from that school downtown. What the hell was the name of it? It used to be where Sears Roebuck was at. It was a grade school there. That's where she went.
In Joliet?
Yeah, in downtown Joliet. Yeah. Anyway, it was only like 2 blocks from the steel mill, and I remember going there. I used to have a car, a Studebaker. My dad signed for me and got. It was a good car, but if you get up to 35 miles an hour, it had what they called a cushion steering, and it just go like this. Until you got to a little bit more speed, it would go away. But anyway, I used to go down and pick her up, you know, when a snowstorm come. And that morning, I'd go pick her up. The snow's all black. The mill, the steel mill.
Okay.
And yeah, I kept dating her, and high school sweethearts. Yeah.
Okay.
We went to a lot of football games, and she left school early too. I was a junior, she was a junior when she left, and we dated still days she went to the phone company and got a job. And she was making more money than I was.
Okay.
And then when we got married is when I went to Railway Express. Kind of was a little bit ahead of her in the pay.
Okay.
But yeah, we got married. It was June the 18th, and it was just like it is here. Man, was it hot! No air conditioning.
Okay.
And it was at Carnegie Hall on South Chicago Street. Still there yet, I guess.
So you met Dar, you said, on a double date.
Well, yeah, in the hallway at Joliet Township High School, and when the bell rings, you can change classes. And,
Honey, some of that.
and we met in the hallway, and Kuzma says, "This is Darlene here," and I said, "Darlene, hi." And I said, "Would you like to go to the football game tonight?" She says, "Yeah." That's when it all started.
Okay.
Yeah,
So your first date you went to, it was at a football game?
Yeah, we went to Joliet Township High School football, and in them days, you know where Washington School's at?
Mm-hmm.
They had a football field behind it, a legal football field.
Mm-hmm.
But if you kicked the ball, it went out in the street, and you kick it the other way, it went into Hickory Creek.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody ever thought about putting nets up. So they carried a lot of footballs with them.
Okay.
For guys kicking extra points and field goals, yeah. That was funny.
And when is your wedding anniversary date?
The 1950, let's see, 1955, I think.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 1955.
And what do you remember about your wedding?
It was like this. It was hot inside. They had ceiling fans, that's all they had.
Okay.
And everybody got in right away, started shedding clothes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It was hot. And
do you remember
we had beer cans that were empty. At that time, you could cut them with a can opener. It'd be a smooth thing, and you saved the can. And that's what we had there. We had all different brands of cans, and we had a keg of beer.
Okay.
You know, I'm underage, but my dad had it there, and my Aunt Sarah was there, my Aunt Mary, and Sarah's husband Leo, he was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was alive yet, yeah.
And what church did you get married at?
It was a Methodist church, and when we got married,
Grace Methodist?
yeah, when we got married, it's a Methodist church. When you got married, they also gave you a travel card because we were young to prove we were married. And on there, the minister signed it, and Jackie signed it, and my brother signed it as witnesses, and then me and Dar signed it. And it was almost like a miniature marriage certificate.
Okay.
And the date you were married and everything, and then it had the state of Illinois seal on it, so it was a legal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed up to Don the other day, because I got some of Dar's stuff yet. I keep, you know, hey, you've been with a woman for 45 years, you know, you still have memories, and I keep that stuff. I don't look at it every day, but somehow or another they came up, and I said, hey, Dawn, I said, I got a copy. And Dawn took a picture of it with her camera. She went, but the church is on there, and their address was too.
Okay.
It was on the east side of Joliet. It was a Methodist church. I can't remember this. I can't remember the street it was on. It was. I think it's there yet. It's a big old, you know, flagstone church. And everything. It was a big church.
And do you remember who you had in your wedding party?
Yeah, Dar's sister and my brother Butch.
And did you guys go on a honeymoon afterwards?
Yep.
And where'd you go?
Lake Geneva.
Okay.
And I borrowed my brother's car because we could roll all the windows down on that. What was it hot? Yeah, my Plymouth had the window air conditioner. You know, turn them and drive them to get wind. Yeah, air conditioning wasn't. Back in '55, it was kind of a rare thing, and then they started coming out with it. Yeah, it was hot that night. Couldn't wait to get out of there.
And with travel, for any vacations or anything you went on, what was your favorite travel destination?
We went down to Florida. I kind of liked Georgia. It was a nice campground and everything, because I had a fifth wheel trailer there. Dar was retired. We went down to Florida to see he was one of my best friends. He lived in New Lenox. His name was Clayton Tom, and he worked at Railway Express with me. And of course, when they went out of business, everybody took their pensions. I wasn't old enough. I had 10 years. I do get a pension from the railway. But anyway, he moved to Florida. And then he was a World War II vet. He was in that, it's been on television. He was in that, I forgot, the 2nd Armored Division. And they fought the most battles in World War II. It was a highly decorated division. But anyway, he got wounded. They were in town one night, and they thought the town was empty, and all of a sudden daylight came. There's Germans all around, you know, and they threw a hand grenade in where they were at. And he got his whole stomach tore out, and they got him into. They made a break through there, and they got through the German lines back to their lines, and they had a surgeon there, and he sewed him up with piano wire. And then when they got him back to France, the guy just did it. Clayton tells me this, and he says, the guy that did this was really good. You know, he said, he really saved your life. There's not much I can do, you know. And yeah, he got the Purple Heart and everything, yeah.
And what do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, right now, at my age, I kind of watch Perry Mason, Wonder Woman, Superman reruns. No, yeah, you know, I'm going to be 87. It's hard for me to do anything anymore. Now I got to get a guy to come and do work for me. It's not that I can't do it. I think I can do it, but I get down on the floor, I can't get up. You know, and, I'm 87. How many times have I been down on my knees?
What did you like to do in your spare time when you were younger?
Oh, when I was younger? Oh, you know, even when I got married, this kid, Dick Irwin, I was telling you about, the policeman, before he became a cop, and I worked at Railway Express then, and he was working for a drywall company. And then he went out on his own, and when he used to do drywall, he called me to help him, and he taught me how to drywall and tape, and that was kind of my hobby. You know, I did that, and when I did my house, I drywalled my own house. I did this one, and God, yeah, I couldn't say I'm a professional on it, but I did a good job. I did the swirls, and the ceilings, and that. But Dick Irwin, he taught me all that stuff, and I worked with him for about 3 years part-time. I'm surprised I ain't got cancer, because, well, I don't know if you want me to talk about it later on. Butch, when he died of mesothelioma, and he used to help me. And even when I did his house, he'd help me do the stuff, you know. And USG at that time had asbestos in it. You couldn't buy pre-mixed stuff them days. You put it in the bucket with the water, and I had the paddle with the big drill. Right. Talk about dust, and then when the sand it would be all white in your hair. Yeah. But Butch caught that disease, and I think he got a lot of it from when he was in Korea with the dead bodies. I really do. But anyway, when he was diagnosed with that, right after Dar died, he was taking treatments at Mayo Clinics in Phoenix, Arizona. And I don't know, they kind of drain all your blood out and recirculate everything. But anyway, he lived for a year after that, and then he did die. He just sat in the chair, and Shirley said he just, right before Christmas, he just went to sleep and didn't wake up. I said, well, that's the way I want to go. Yeah. You know, and same thing with Dar, you know. I don't know if you're going to ask me how she died, but she died from smoking cigarettes.
Was it emphysema or?
Emphysema and COPD, yeah. And I never could get her to quit. I didn't want to argue about it, but she went to a doctor, and he gave her medicine, and she felt good and kept smoking. I said, "Oh, the medicine's helping you. Don't go smoking." Yeah. And she did. The only thing I say, Chad, is that when she died, I took her to the hospital one time, and then they released her and we come home. And then the second time I took her, she did die. I mean, it wasn't in and out, in and out,
Mm-hmm.
in and out. You know, it really hit me hard. You know, and I
Mm-hmm.
said, God, I called Brett, and Brett came. And, yeah, it was sad.
Yeah.
And the doctor said I did all I could. They had me in the room with her, and then all of a sudden she went into that thing, heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I just, my head was in my ass when that happened. And he made all the arrangements because we always talked about being cremated.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all right.
And she's buried in Arizona.
She's buried in Arizona, and she's buried in the military section because she's a war veteran's daughter.
Okay.
I can be put next to her or on top of her, which I'm going to be put on top of her.
Okay.
I said, that's the way I want to be. I'm going to be cremated. And the girl told me, she said, we guarantee we'll put you on top of her.
And your father-in-law was in World War One?
No, World War II.
World War II.
John was in the Navy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in the landing of Italy there. Where was that beach? Huh?
Sicily?
Yeah,
Sicily?
yeah, in Sicily, and then they went into right in the Italy landing. He was on the LSTs. They went right up on the beach. He was on that.
Okay.
Yeah, he's seen combat. Yeah.
Okay. And your dad's got two sisters,
Yes.
three sisters.
Yeah. Three.
Right?
Lucy,
Mary, Lucy, and Sarah.
Sarah. Right.
And what can you tell me about each one of those three?
Well, Sarah, Mary, I remember. Mary was nice. She took care of my grandmother until she passed away, and then she went into senior citizens home. And then my dad, I think he went up there and lived there too.
Yeah.
And Sarah married Leo Flowers. He worked for the New York Central Railroad roundhouse. He was a train master.
Mm-hmm.
And when the New York Central quit coming into Joliet with freight and passengers, they were coming on the Rock Island line, but they decided that being the passenger service is going away, and that's when Railway Express closed up because our freight went on passenger trains. That's how it moved. But anyway, they tore the New York Central roundhouse down, and he retired. He had something like 40 years with him. And when he retired, I still got it. Now it's Jody's. There was a pump out in front of the roundhouse, actual working water pump.
Mm-hmm.
He took it. He's train master. They were going to destroy everything there.
Mm-hmm.
And he had it in his house in the front yard. And then when he passed away, he lived right behind my grandmother's house there. I think it's Wilson Street right there, right off of Washington.
Okay.
It's a short street. But anyway, when he passed away, Sarah gave me the pump. Because I used to park my boat in the garage there, because Leo didn't drive anymore, neither did Sarah.
Okay.
So they let me park my, I had a motorboat.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I parked it there, and when Sarah gave me that pump, I put it in New Lennoxville. I had it in my yard. Then when I moved to Arizona, I took it with me. It's kind of it's got to be 150 years old. Now I brought it back. I don't want to put it in my house anymore because my fish all died and everything. So I gave it to Jody.
Okay.
Now it's going to stay in the family.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But when he died, Sarah was just kind of. Mike used to go down there and cut the grass for her and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of anything she needed done, he would do.
there?
That house that he lived in was a Montgomery Ward catalog house.
Okay.
You sent away for a kit, and they deliver the house to your lot, and you put it together.
Okay.
It was a nice home, real
Okay.
nice home. Had a full basement. Yeah, Leo was a good man.
And Leo was her second husband, right?
Yes, her first husband was Joe Fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a professional boxer, nice guy, good-looking guy. And he worked for Del Rose newspapers. They used to take the papers in the truck and throw the bundles off. They used to have newsstands downtown Joliet.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 4 or 5 stands there. Well, he threw the bundles off, and the driver thought he was going back, into the truck, and he was on the edge, and he pulled away, and Joe fell out and hit his head, and he became like this.
Okay.
And he couldn't talk and nothing. He broke some nerves in his spine and everything. I mean, he could walk, but he didn't know who he was. Fell right on his head.
Okay.
And then I think in time, Sarah put him down in Mantino down there. And I guess you heard the words on Mantino down there. I remember going down there to visit him. People walking around in white dresses, and straight hair, and giving them these electrical shocks.
Okay.
And from what I understand, Hitler knew all about that, and that's why he was into that crap. That's what they say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been on PBS already,
Right.
Strange, huh?
And Sarah didn't have any children.
No.
And Mary didn't have any children.
No, Mary never got married.
And then there was Lucy.
Lucy was Lucy Pohl. Her husband was the Pohl Venetian Wines in Joliet, and then after, I don't know, so many years, they moved to Florida and sold Venetian wines down there until he retired.
Okay.
And when Dar died, I got a nice letter from Lucy. She was still alive then. That was back in 2002. I've had no communication with her, and I don't know if she's alive or not.
Okay.
But she was in Florida. She sent me a nice letter.
Yeah.
And I remember going down visiting her with my dad. I was a young kid then. They lived over Alpha.
Yeah. Lucy was born in 1920.
Yeah.
And then she passed away in 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so she is gone. Okay.
Yeah. Looks like she had 2 children.
Yeah, I think she did.
John and Lachlan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're in Joliet or not.
Well, John just passed away last year.
Did he?
And then Lachlan,
Are they in Florida?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Lachlan looks to still be alive. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. A couple world events. Do you remember where you were at when President Kennedy was assassinated?
Yes, I do.
Where were you at?
Marishkas.
Okay. Good place
At
to
lunchtime. Yeah.
Okay.
I was working at Gaylord's. I was the manager of the drug department, and we always went for lunch there.
be. Okay.
And we were sitting there in the bar side there, having a beer and our sandwich. The TV's right there, and they interrupted it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I knew where I was at. Yeah.
Do you remember where you were at when we landed on the moon?
I was probably out driving. Nowhere near the TV. I heard about it when I got home and everything. And they were showing films.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you were at when the United States beat the Soviet Union in the 1980 Olympics?
What, the hockey team?
Yeah.
Yeah, watching it on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of Americans were watching that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How about, this is 1986, the explosion of the Challenger space shuttle? You remember?
Yeah,
that?
I seen that. Yeah, we were in Arizona then. And I probably was working somewhere then too. I was self-employed out there.
Okay.
Seen it that night on TV,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do you remember where you were at when September 11th happened?
Yeah, sleeping in bed, and phone rings, and his guy's name is Ed Hickey. When I drove for Yellow Freight, he was another driver that I drove with. Sometimes they send 2 drivers out at the same time. He was, and Ed Hickey, he retired, and then me and Dar came back to visit him. We had a little trailer then, and God, the guy looked good. But he's the one that called me. He says, Harry. I said, yeah. He said, Ed, turn your TV on. And hung up on me. And Dar says, who was that? And I said, Ed Hickey. And I turned it on. I said, well, what the shit? It's a movie? Yeah,
Right.
me and Dar were in bed. And it was like Arizona time. It was like, I think around 7 o'clock in the morning in Arizona. Holy Christ.
Right.
Then, as the day went on, you're watching it all. But that's where we were. Me and Dar were in bed sleeping.
Okay.
Ed Hickey.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what accomplishments are you most proud of in your life?
I guess raising my kids, having 4 that did good. I didn't have to worry about their husbands took care of them. You know, Bart had problems, but I'm proud of him. You know, he raised 2 kids by himself. He did a good job. But anyway, yeah, I think, you know, I was never drew an unemployment check in my life. I don't know what they look like.
Okay.
And worked all the time. Had food on the table.
Hey, what would you say is your happiest memory?
Oh God, I think 4 times when they were all born.
Yeah.
You know, and the day I married Dar.
Okay.
Was my happiest time.
Okay.
And I still miss her.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. You know, when you sleep in bed with somebody for 45 years, that pillow seems funny next to you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what are some of your favorite TV shows over the years?
God, I guess you can go back a lot of shows. Bob Hope, Jack Benny, Laugh In was really good. You know, as time changed, you know. And I liked the TV series Hunter. I still watch the reruns on that. It's because that girl Stephanie Kramer, she reminds me of Dar so much. But yeah, I watch a lot of the reruns of detective shows, you know, Kojak and all them. And,
Okay.
you know, I'm a little by myself. I do a lot of TV watching.
Yeah.
Perry Mason.
Yeah.
And Spingooley, and you know, yeah.
Okay.
Those are all my entertainment now.
Hey, what would you say are some of your favorite movies?
Oh, geez. Gone with the Wind. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid was good. Grapes of Wrath, I think that was the name of it. Henry Fonda. And Kelly's Heroes, I like that. The Longest Day was good. Those are all good movies. You know.
Okay. And who are your favorite sports teams?
Well, when I lived here, it was the Chicago Cubs. Because when the kids were little, I worked for Railway Express, and I used to ride free because I was a railroad employee, and we'd go on the train, Don, and Brett. He was little in that walker, you know, one of those push walkers. Go up and watch the Chicago Cubs. And back then, you know, you get in the outfield, the tickets were only $1.
Yeah.
You know, and we spend the day up there and then get a pizza. And we come back on the Rock Island again. Yeah. And then I like the Chicago Bears. You know.
Okay.
And did like the Green Bay Packers. Me and Donnie had a thing there, the Dallas Cowboys and the Packers. I think he had a Dallas Cowboy helmet, and I had the Green Bay helmet in my basement.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your favorite restaurant?
Well, I did like Maristas. I was back. But this year I was disappointed. I guess there's new owners.
Oh.
And I don't think it was as good as it was.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. And Sills and Rockdale, and that one's I hear is bad now.
Yeah,
he died.
Went out of business.
Yeah, and he died, and the guy that took it over kind of run it in the ground. He's closed up now. Let's see, what was the other one? Oh, Bruns in New Lenox.
Okay. Okay.
You know, until we moved to Arizona, we missed those places. But yeah, Bruns, we used to take the kids down. They used to have the Sunday smorgasbord, chicken.
Yeah. Okay.
Those were the 3 that we went to mostly. And there was one in Aurora we took when they were little, and that was a chicken place. I can't remember the name of it, but I know that's gone too.
Okay.
That's got to be gone. Yeah.
Okay. So last question for you is, if you could describe yourself to a future family member, generations down the road, they're not even born yet, what would you want them to know about you and your life?
Well, let's see. I'm not always right, but I'm never wrong. And, you know, I think I've been a pretty good grandpa to a lot of the ones that are grown up now, and all your kids and everybody. I don't know, I'm not a mean guy, you know. I smile.
Yeah.
And, I think they can remember me as a nice guy, you know, not grouchy. Even when I was young, I drank a lot of wine, but I never got drunk. If I did get drunk, I got drunk at home.
Yeah.
I think Dawn might have been old enough to see some of my stupid stunts, you know. But anyway, well, when I mean that, Chad, I remember one time when my birthday, I came home. I was driving for Service Cartage in Lamont, truck line, and them guys all knew it was my birthday, and they got me going pretty good at the bar. It was across the street, called Tom's. They're still there yet. But anyway, they didn't have my wine, and they knew I liked the port wine, and they ordered a special behind the bar for me. When I come in, they always have a great, I mean, they charged me for it, but they carried my brand of wine. And these guys really got me going pretty good before I got home. And when I got home, Dar had made reservations. Maybe you remember, it was called the Blue Willow in Lockport restaurant.
Okay.
Okay. She had reservations, and I come in, and man, I'm really Anyway, I says, we're gonna go. We're gonna keep it. She says, you're drunk. I said, yeah, I'll remember it. And I remember the kids all saying, oh, Dad, you know. And I got them all in the car and everything. We got up to the Blue Willow. We had reservations. The guy comes to the table and, what do you want? And that's all I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of the happy times that Dar says, I'm driving you home. I'm glad I taught her how to drive.
Yeah.
She did. She could drive. The
Yeah.
kids were just, I forgot, Dawn and Brett were pretty close to being teenagers. They probably remember that. But other than that, and then when I went on the road driving for Yellow Freight, I used to come back. I used to run Port Huron, and that was a 2-day run. I'd go up, sleep, come back the next day, and it was good pay, man, good pay.
Yeah.
And I was working out of Palatine. That was a terminal. I used to drive. It was 50 miles from New Lenox, but good money. And there was a florist right across the street. And every time I come back from the 2-day run, I'd go and buy a dozen roses, take them to Dar.
Yeah.
And I remember that yet.
Yeah. Well, that's all the questions I have. So.
Okay, Chad, you did good. I don't know if I did good.
Oh, you did great.